please hit that subscribe button. Hey everybody, better suited to win the Stanley Cup this season. If you are new to the channel, Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins.
Locked on and he scored! And we're live. Hey everybody, so we are back continuing on with our hit or miss series where I look at NHL teams' draft picks, first round draft picks from 2005 through 2015 and determine if each pick was a hit or a miss. We finished up the Western Conference, so it's time to move on to the East now, starting in the Metropolitan Division, and we're going to start with the New York Rangers. So before we get into it, I just quickly ask that you please hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already. Both of those things greatly help out the channel and are very much appreciated. But let's get into it here. Rangers first round pick starting in 2005 where they selected 12th overall and took defenseman Marc Staal. Now this pick is definitely a hit as Marc Staal is still with the Rangers to this day. He's become a big time defensive defenseman for them. A top 4 guy for much of his career. Not so much anymore, but certainly through the best years, the prime of his career, he was certainly one of their top defensemen. 892 career games played, 43 goals, 145 assists for 188 points and a plus 46 rating. Again, not a huge point producer, never really was. Much more of a defensive stay-at-home defenseman, but man, was he a damn good one for a long time in the NHL. So Marc Staal is definitely a hit. 2006, they selected 21st overall, and they took another defenseman. This time it was Bobby Sanguinetti. This one is a miss, as Bobby Sanguinetti has only ever played 45 games in the NHL, scoring 2 goals, 4 assists for 6 points and a -6 rating. Much better of an AHL player, a longtime AHL player, but never really stuck at the NHL level, so that one's a miss. 2007, they selected 17th overall, and this is one of the saddest stories that we'll ever talk about on this channel, without a doubt. They took right wing Alexei Sharaponov, and have this one left as a question mark because we don't know if he was a hit or a miss. We will never know if he was a hit or a miss because he collapsed on the bench and passed away at the age of 19 in Russia. Playing in a KHL game and never once even made it to the NHL, never played an NHL game. Again, we will never know how great of a player he would or would not become because his career and unfortunately his life was cut way, way, way too short at just 19 years old when he collapsed and passed away on the bench. It was a cardiac incident. The death was attributed to heart failure, but obviously an absolutely terrible situation, something that you never ever want to see, and one of the saddest hockey stories certainly ever, but particularly in the past 20 years. What happened to Alexei Sharaponov was just incredibly tragic and unfortunate. Moving on to 2008, they selected 20th overall, and with that pick, they took defenseman Michael Del Zotto. And this one's a hit. Now, Del Zotto never became the high-powered offensive defenseman. He never really had the full point career that I think a lot of people expected him to, but there were some really good years mixed in there for Del Zotto. He was had some decent ones with the Rangers and as well as with other teams, but he never put that, consistent point scoring career together, but he did have some really good years mixed in, and for a 20th overall pick, he's still in the NHL. That's not too bad. He's played 657 games in the NHL, scoring 56 goals, 180 assists for 236 points and a -31 rating, and I don't think he ever fully became the player that a lot of people thought he would when he first came into the league, but he still put a pretty solid career for himself together. So we'll call that one a hit. 2009, they selected 19th overall, and with that pick, they took left wing Chris Kreider. This one is an obvious hit as Chris Kreider has become one of the best goal scorers on the New York Rangers, just signed a long-term contract with the team, and is going to be a Ranger for the foreseeable future. He's played 523 games in the NHL, scoring 157 goals, 159 assists for 316 points, and a +68 rating. He is a great second-line goal scorer, 25 to 30 goals a year, year in and year out, and he's become a really, really solid player. So Chris Kreider at 19 overall, absolutely a hit. 2010, they selected 10th overall in the NHL draft. And with that pick, they took defenseman Dylan McIlrath. And this one is a big-time miss with a top 10 pick, as McIlrath is a, big, physical, tough defensive defenseman, but never could stick at the NHL level, I think mostly because his skating wasn't good enough. He only ever played 66 NHL games, scoring 3 goals, 2 assists for 5 points, and a +2 rating. But he just could never, fully stay up at the NHL level. Has played a lot more in the AHL, and with a top 10 pick, that is a massive, massive miss. So tough one there with McIlrath, but that happens sometimes. 2011, they selected 15th overall, and with that pick, they took forward JT Miller. And this one is a huge hit, as JT Miller has gone on to have a very, very solid NHL career that is still very much underway and continuing. He's now with the Vancouver Canucks, where he had a huge season this year. But he's played 504 games in the NHL, scoring 122 goals, 187 assists for 309 career points and a +34 rating. He's just been really, really good for a number of different teams now in New York, in Tampa Bay, now with Vancouver. He's been fantastic. So great middle of the year lineup guy. JT Miller's a hit. 2012, they selected 28th overall, and with that pick, they took defenseman Brady Shea. This one is also a hit, as Brady Shea, who just got traded this year at the deadline to Carolina, but played the first number of years in his career with the Rangers, has played 314 games in the NHL, 25 goals, 88 assists for 113 points, and a -29 rating. He became a pretty solid D-man for the Rangers. Obviously, they've traded him this year, but now with Carolina, and he's become a good middle pair type guy. And for a late first round draft pick, 28th overall, that's absolutely a hit to get a solid NHL player out of that. And that's going to do it for this, guys, because in 2013, 14, and 15, the Rangers did not have a first-round pick. They actually didn't have a first-round pick again until 2017, where they had 2. But the Rangers were a contending team through that stretch, the mid-2010s. They were going for Stanley Cups, and they traded those first-round picks away to get players added to their lineup for the then. And they made it to the Cup final in 2014, but ended up losing to the LA Kings. That was the closest they've come to a Cup in recent memory. But they did trade a lot of those first-round picks away. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Overall, the Rangers were a pretty good team drafting, when they had picks. They went a long stretch there without a first-round pick, but they had a couple misses mixed in there, but they had some good hits as well. Chris Kreider, JT Miller, Marc Staal, Brady Shea, all hits. So overall, they were pretty solid team drafting. And, obviously they just had a long stretch there where they didn't have any first-round picks. But with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.